Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to take a look at why I should hate the Mini-14, but I don't. I actually love it. Now, before we get into the meat of the video, how did I get this gun? I actually purchased this early 80s version of a Mini-14 in Chicago. You'll see an episode on the 1911 Syndicate channel of the Hunt for Gucci guns in Chicago. And as we were going through different shops, I noticed every single shop that we visited for the entire journey, even in Philadelphia, every single one of them had one of the new stainless Ruger Mini-14s with the Samson folding stock, the 18 version of the gun. And by the end of the journey, I said, if there's one more Mini-14 in the next shop, I'm going to buy one because I've never had one, and the 18 vibes are strong. Well, spoiler alert, the last shop we went into had a Mini-14, and you definitely need to go watch the episode of the Hunt for Gucci Gun Chicago, because there's a lot of people buying guns. I bought a gun, Eli bought a gun, Jake bought a gun, and even the videographer Crispy bought a gun. So first time it's ever happened, and that actually happened in Chicago of all places. So the Mini-14, very cool. This is an early 80s version of the gun. They had it listed as pre-ban. Typically when you think pre-ban, you're thinking it's a machine gun. But no, this is not an AC-556 machine gun. This is just a Mini-14 early 80s. But this just gave me all sorts of vibes. So I had to get it and send it here. But you know, the thing is, the Mini-14, if you don't know the history of it, was designed in the late 60s, early 70s as Ruger's answer to the AR-15, and what a terrible answer it was. This has not been adopted by very many militaries at all. In fact, I think only a few Department of Corrections throughout the United States even use the Mini-14 anymore. But it's still a very cool gun because of its, I guess, kind of, you know, movie star appeal. It's been in some very cool movies. But there's some reasons that I think people don't like the Mini-14, and they're very valid, but I don't care. So let's start off with the first reason people don't like it. Number one is it was designed based on the M14. So while Armalite had gone with the AR, you know, the AR-10, scaling it to, not scaling it, but developing that gas gun into the AR-15, Ruger decided to go find the M14, which is the shortest serving battle rifle in the history of the armed forces. So a lot of people consider it a failure. And they decided, hey, this rifle sucks. Let's make it even smaller and chamber it in 5.56, and maybe people will buy it. So the Mini-14 is a scaled down version of the M14 in a lot of ways. And being that the M14 is a failure, a lot of people say, that's one reason that you should not like the Mini-14. Now, here's the thing. I actually love the M14, or M1A, as it's known now as you can get it. It is heavy, it fires 308, not super accurately, but it is just a really fun gun to shoot. So while the M14 was a failure and the Mini-14 has been considered not a huge commercial success, I still love it, even though it's patterned after the M14. Now, the second reason that some people dislike the Mini-14, and it's very close to making me not like it, is the fact that this gun specifically led to the development of the 10mm round, and hence the 40 short and weak, the 40 Smith & Wesson round, because one of the bad guys in the Miami FBI shootout in the 80s used a Mini-14 and fired, I believe it was 40 to 45 rounds of .223 from this gun, not this one specifically, but from a Mini-14, and that round was attributed to killing 2 of the FBI agents. So that shootout specifically is what led the FBI to think they were out-calibered, not necessarily outgunned, and led to the development of the 10mm, which I'm not a big fan of, and also then the 40 short and weak, the 40 Smith & Wesson, which I'm really not a fan of. So the fact that this gun single-handedly started that entire journey of calibers I'm not super hot on. Could be a reason you dislike it. I don't care. Still a cool gun. Now, the next reason people would hate it is because it's inaccurate. Yes, it is. The sights on this gun, the specific one that I have here, not very good, so I didn't do an accuracy test, but test after test shows that these are not inherently accurate guns, even though they have gotten better throughout the years. So, should that make me dislike it? In normal circumstances, it would. Next reason to dislike this gun is the funky manual of arms. So just like the M14, you have rock and lock style magazines. You also, the folder I'll talk about in a second, you also do have AK style one-sided only right side charging handle. Now it does have last round hold open, so I was able to do that. But it is a funky manual of arms. And then when you get in and get down to the safety, you have an M14 style safety. The paddle back is on safe, front is off safe. That's not really that big of a deal, but it is a little bit funky. So the manual of arms in itself is not very user-friendly when compared to an AR-15. And the last reason I should hate this gun is it gets hot, especially with a modern C-clamp grip. This heat shield on top here, they were originally made of wood and they would get really, really hot. So they decided to make them out of different polymers and steel as like a heat sink. Still gets very, very hot. So shooting a modern C-clamp style grip on this gun, anything more than 2 mags is going to require gloves, and anything beyond that is going to require just not having that modern C-clamp grip. So yes, it does get hot. So with all of those reasons, I can understand why so many people don't like the Mini-14. And honestly, I do have enough reasons to not like the Mini-14 myself. However, I can't get myself to not like it. In fact, I can't get myself to not love it. And here's why. The main reason, the A-Team, okay? Growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, the A-Team, B.A. Baracus, Hannibal, like the whole team with that van. I have a van, so I'm very partial to that. But this gun was in almost every single episode of the A-Team. I can't recall one episode that it wasn't in. So just the fact that it was in the A-Team and they had the stainless version with the folding stock, and you'd see them, fire, with the stock closed, be blasting all the way throughout the van. In every single episode, this gun was the hero gun. So when you're looking at guns, sometimes nostalgia and retro is enough. Now, this is not the first rifle you'd get. It's not in the first 10 rifles I think you'd get. But if you have that need for something that just gets you back to the 80s, gets you to the A-Team, it's been in some other movies as well. This is definitely on the list to get. So A-Team, number 1. Number 2, it has essentially 0 recoil. So for a gun that is not super heavy, it's only 6.5 to 7 pounds, it really doesn't have a lot of recoil. So you can fire this with the stock closed and just, hip fire it if you want to. And the recoil isn't that bad. Now, the rounds do have a tendency to fly up. So if you do some hip fire, and you're a lefty, you're going to be getting hit with some brass. Me as a righty, I'm just getting hit with gas and a lot of concussion coming in my face. So as far as, doing a lot of hip fire, no. But essentially 0 recoil for the size and the weight of the gun. Next reason I love it is the fact that it can fire with the stock closed. Now, I know you say, who the hell cares? AKs can fire with the stock closed. I understand, but this is an American-made rifle with American heritage, and so to have that ability to fire continuously with the folding stock closed is pretty cool, and it's a very unique style of folding stock that I think just has so much cool factor to it that being able to fire with the stock open or closed makes this a very cool gun to have. The last reason I have for absolutely loving this gun is it's beautiful and different. So this is something that may not be the most practical or effective gun, but it is very, very good looking when you compare it next to any modern rifle, an AR pattern rifle today. It is the wood that's on here, the grain, the look, the feel of it in your hand when you're holding it and you're shooting it. It's just a very, very attractive gun and very, very well balanced. So This is not necessarily a review of the Mini-14. If you were on the fence about it, I probably have made you not want to get one. However, if you have been thinking about getting a Mini-14 and you want to get those 18 vibes, and you've heard all these negative reviews about how, inaccurate it is, how, hot it gets, all that stuff, just know that the vibes and the look are sometimes enough, and that's why I love the Mini-14.